Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Riot, product designer, work in London, and this video I thought would be super fun to do a tutorial on Smart Animate in Figma. We're going to cover the basics of how to use Smart Animate and create a really cool search carousel in Figma. Smart Animate is a great way to elevate your prototyping game in Figma and communicate your designs more effectively. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for future design related videos, and let's get started into Figma. So let's get started straight into Figma. You can grab this file for free by heading the link in the description below and subscribing to my newsletter. And what we're trying to achieve here is by creating a search carousel inside Figma. So we're using Headspace as an example, and when you go for search, it's going to bring up all of these suggestions here automatically by itself, so it gives a user more of an idea of what they could potentially search for. If you remember, I made a video on my favorite iPhone apps and Headspace was one of them, but one of the problems I said was that when it comes to search and discoverability, I'm not sure what I could search for, so having this carousel can basically help me achieve this. So I'm now going to talk through of how we're going to do this using Smart Animate. So before doing the search carousel, let's quickly cover the basics of Smart Animate really quickly. So to understand Smart Animate, it looks for matching layers on different frames, and it recognizes the differences and animates them automatically. So let's see an example here. Is we have frame 1 and it has all of these matching layers, the same ones as frame 2, and we're looking at tooltip here as a matching layer, and we can see here in frame 2 it's called tooltip as well, and it's going to notice a difference. So when you go to prototype, you say after delay Smart Animate, and it's going to notice a difference that this on the when you go to design, we can see the Y position is 281, and on here the Y position is 236. Figma's automatically going to notice that there's a difference in position, and it's going to animate this by pushing this up. So when we go into prototype and we press play, you'll be able to see this. So we can see Figma detected the position was higher, so it moved it up. And to make this animation even cooler and elevating it super easily, just turn the opacity off and it's going to dissolve in and move up by itself. So let's take a look at this one. So we'll press restart and you can see it's not there, and then it appears and it moves up by itself. Super simple. And let's quickly do an example by creating one ourselves. So we'll go to prototype here, and what we're going to do is make the good morning friend slide in from the left to the right. So we can see here that we've got the good morning friend layer on frame 3, and it has to have the exact same name on frame 4, and it's called good morning friend as well. So what we're going to do is just move this into the left, and we need to make sure that it's the exact same Y position as well. So this is 1, 2, 4. I accidentally moved it, so this is 1, 2, 4 as well. And we'll just turn down the opacity a bit, but you'll still be able to see this, so you'll be able to see it slide in. So it's going to slide in from the left to the right. So what we have to do is click on 3 here and add interaction. We're going to do this after delay, and we're going to say after 500 milliseconds it's going to animation Smart Animate here, and it's going to ease out. So what it's going to do is notice that this is further on the left, and it's going to move it through, slide it through. So if we press play, you can see that it's just sliding through. And to make it look cooler, we can just quickly get rid of the opacity here to 0%, so it'll look like it wasn't even there in the first place, and now it's going to look like it's sliding in. There you go. So as soon as you open the app, it's going to have the good morning friend slide in. Really simple, and that is the basics of Smart Animate covered. Let's now create our search carousel and level up our prototyping skills. Now that we know how the basics of Smart Animate works, let's see how this search carousel works. So when I press restart on this prototype, we go into search, and I've left the opacity of the layers up, and we can see that we are moving through matching layers where it's going up and down. So to get this effect of the text layer moving in, you have to have the matching layers that are going up and down. So let me explain this more inside the Figma file to help you understand what's going on. So we can see here that we have the home screen light, and then let's open up the layers here. And we've got inside here group 2 and the text inside auto layout, and they're all called meditation. I guess that makes it easier for the matching layers. But what we can see here is we have search for meditation that's moved up, and then we've got mindful eating that was at the bottom, which has now replaced it. So to get the effect of it pushing in between each other, you have to have the matching layers. So meditation's gone up, and then we've got mindful eating that's gone up as well, and everything below it has like pushed up a bit as well. But this only works if you have something to swap below it, because it's a matching layers, and if there's nothing below, then it's not going to animate the layer below it. So when it reaches the end here, so after tough days, it won't animate and give that effect because there's nothing below it to push up, if that makes sense. So what we can see here is I've even listed down the interaction is it pushes the list up whilst animating through it, and then we can see it goes through from mindful eating to breath work, because breath work was at the bottom here, it replaces it, mindful eating goes up, same for managing stress, and everything pushes up. And Smart Animate handles all of it. It's not as complex as you think it is, but it comes across as a really cool animation. So if we show this again, so we can see here it's like flicking through the list here, but we don't see this because the other layers have their opacity turned off, but it's just cycling through the list here. So we can show the cycle through the list on this prototype here. So it cycles through up and down, and what we're going to do is recreate this really simply with maybe just 2 layers to basically swap in between. So let's quickly recreate this now in auto layout inside Figma using Smart Animate but search Carousel, and we can do this in a couple of minutes really simply. So we can see down here we have a bunch of list items, and what we can do is just get a text box and press search for, type this all up, meditation, and to make the list item really simply you just press Shift A for auto layout. And what we can do is duplicate this, let's just say 4 times because we want to cycle through 4 times, and we've got all of these frames here. And what you do is press Shift A on these, and to get into list item you just press a down arrow, again on vertically done, and we're just going to sort the spacing out here to 16. And now we're just going to put the items we want them to siphon through. So we're going to say search for meditation mindfulness, and let's quickly make sure the spelling's okay as well. The reason being it's important is because when we duplicate the screen we don't want to animate the text here, we just want to get the spelling spot on straight away. So search for meditation mindfulness walk-in and stressful days, which we all do get. And what we can do is just change the color, tone it down a bit, and what we now have to do is create the first screen of the search bar. So we just need to center meditation here into the search bar, and now when you press prototype it's just going to bring up a static screen with meditation on. So if we just restart here, and that will bring up meditation, but we don't want the users to see mindfulness walking or stressful days, even though we want to cycle through these options. So what we do here is on these 3 layers we just have to set the opacity to 0%, and they won't be able to see it. But then for this prototype, for this tutorial, it'll be easy to quickly just see us cycling through them, just so it's easy to move through and understand what's going on. And we can see search for meditation. So the next thing we want to display is search for mindfulness. So because we've got the opacity still on, we can easily put this up here, and we want to turn meditation off as well. So let's lock the status bar here, and we just turn the opacity here to 0. And what we can do is turn the opacity now off on these layers, just so we can get an example of what's going on. So right now, to get to the next screen, we have to press prototype and then click on home screen light, drag this here. We're going to say after delay, because we don't want to use it to tap, we just want it to happen by itself. So on tap, change that to after delay. So that's happening after 0.8 seconds. Navigate to this screen and it's going to smart animate. And one problem we got here is the font color. So let's just change this back to the color here. So this is using 636363, and I guess this was using the same color as the opacity. So this should just push the item up. So if we just press play, and there we have it, that is the animation. So what we can do is actually now go through the other list items to see how this is gonna look. So what we do have is the other list items here. So we can just quickly put the opacity up again, just so we can see what's going on. So there's the other list item here. So let's change that to 40. And we just want to move this up. So the next thing it's going to display is walk-in. So we'll just get walk-in up here. And what we're going to do is, again, turn off the opacity. So turn that to 0. The same with this box here. Turn that to 0. And walk-in, we put that to 100. Same as last time, we just have to animate these screens. So we now have an interaction from flow 10 to home screen light to this screen, but we need to get to the next screen, and we want to have this happen by itself. So it's going to navigate to that screen after delay. It's the same with length. I suppose we could make it a bit quicker, but let's just stick to 800 for ease and consistency. So when we go back to the prototype, it should cycle through 2 items now. So mindfulness and walk-in. So we start meditation, mindfulness and walk-in. And I guess maybe we could at the start change the after delay to happen maybe 1500, so it looks a bit more smoother. So we get to the screen, mindfulness, and then walk in. I would maybe slow that a tiny bit down to get the master effect, but we can see on the showcase animation, this is very similar to what we're trying to achieve here. So I guess that is the basics of the animation. It's not as complex as you think it is. It just looks pretty fancy, but Smart Animate is an amazing thing we can use, and I hope you can recreate this as well. Remember, you can grab the Figma file by heading to the link in the description below. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Be sure to subscribe again to my newsletter, grab this Figma file, the link is in the description below, and I hope you learned something new about Smart Animate and it can allow you to elevate your prototyping game. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below what your prototyping skills are like right now, and if you enjoyed prototyping type videos, and be sure to subscribe for future design related videos, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.